Hey folks, Richard here. Today we're diving into a crucial topic, the threat of stagflation and how you can safeguard your finances. To those unfamiliar, stagflation is an economic term referring to a condition characterized by slow economic growth and high unemployment, coupled with rising prices. An unwelcome scenario that combines inflation, where prices rise making everyday living more expensive, and economic stagnation, which means fewer jobs and sluggish business growth. Let's look at some real-world examples to understand this better. This situation became particularly famous in the 70s, when major economies like the US and the UK were hit hard by this phenomenon. The US in 1973 faced a surge in oil prices due to the OPEC oil embargo causing inflation. At the same time, their economy was slowing, resulting in unemployment. Similarly, the UK in the same decade saw a spike in inflation rates, high unemployment and a crashing stock market. Fast forward to the present, this damaging combination of high inflation and stagnant economic growth, known as stagflation, has become a buzzword once again amongst financial experts and economists. Its re-emergence in the economic conversation is due to the current global economic climate, with rising inflation rates and slowing growth. Recognizing the gravity of stagflation is crucial, as it's vital to understand how we can best prepare and protect our finances in such uncertain times. As we delve deeper into this topic, we'll discuss some key strategies to help you weather the storm. We'll explore what this means for your wallet and how to navigate these turbulent economic waters. Stagflation is a unique economic scenario where inflation is high, but economic growth is sluggish or stagnant. Think of the 1970s in the United States, a period marked by rising prices and stagnant economic growth. It's a term that comes from combining stagnation and inflation, two economic concepts that are generally not perceived to happen at the same time. In inflation, we see the price of goods and services increase over time, eroding the purchasing power of consumers. This was evident in the 1970s when the price of a loaf of bread nearly doubled over the decade. On the flip side, stagnation refers to an economy that is not growing or expanding. An example of this was Japan's lost decade in the 1990s, where economic growth was almost non-existent. It usually means fewer job opportunities, lower income growth, and potentially higher unemployment rates. When stagnation and inflation combine, it's like getting the worst of both worlds. The cost of living rises due to inflation, but opportunities for earning income shrink because of economic stagnation. Caught in the crossfire are everyday people. They face the double impact of higher prices, making it more difficult to afford necessities, and the challenge of finding or maintaining employment due to a lack of economic growth. As we saw in the 1970s, a time of stagnation and inflation, it becomes an economic quagmire, leading to a vicious cycle that can be difficult to break. Stagflation, therefore, is particularly concerning because it combines two negative forces. The cost of living rises, but job opportunities shrink, creating a double-edged sword for everyday people. The impact of this was seen in the 1970s in the US, where people struggled with rising costs and shrinking job opportunities. In the 1970s, stagflation ravaged the US economy, with inflation hitting nearly 15% and unemployment rates spiking. For instance, in 1975, the unemployment rate peaked at 8.5%, and inflation was at an all-time high of 9.1%. A term coined by economists, stagflation is a portmanteau of stagnation and inflation. It refers to the economic scenario where inflation and unemployment rise simultaneously while the growth of the economy slows down. This is a paradox to the traditional theories of economy, which postulate that inflation and unemployment share an inverse relationship. This economic turmoil of the 70s had significant fallout. The decade became synonymous with energy crisis, price controls, and public discontent. For example, the oil embargo of 1973 doubled the price of crude oil worldwide, wreaking havoc on economies dependent on imported oil. In an effort to control inflation, policies were enacted that inadvertently led to unemployment. Notably, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates in 1979, which led to a slowdown in economic activity and a surge in unemployment. The nation grappled to restore balance, with businesses crumbling and families struggling to make ends meet. The American dream was shaken, leaving behind an economic scar that took years to heal. Fast forward to today, we're beginning to see a haunting resemblance. With inflation rates on the rise and growth indicators faltering, the echoes of the 70s can be heard loud and clear. The repercussion of a similar situation in today's digital, globalized world can be far-reaching. So what can you do to protect yourself? First, let's explore the realm of managing debt, a subject of paramount importance that is often overshadowed. This topic has a remarkable influence on our economy, especially during times of stagflation. Debt is not inherently detrimental, rather it's the skyrocketing interest rates and inflation common during stagflation that morph it into an overwhelming beast, ultimately making it costlier than what was initially anticipated. It's a persistent menace, stealthily expanding in the unseen corners of our economic lives. So the burning question is, how can one subdue this menacing beast during such challenging times? The solution lies in strategic debt management. Let's delve into some real-world examples. Take refinancing loans, a term that might initially sound like complex financial language. In reality, it's a pragmatic approach to lessen your interest payments. For instance, during the stagflation of the 1970s, many homeowners opted to refinance their mortgages to combat soaring interest rates. This strategy allowed them to switch their loans to options that were more affordable and economically viable. Another key tactic is to prioritize high-interest debt. High-interest debts are the lurking predators of the financial ecosystem. For example, credit card debts often carry high interest rates. Prioritizing paying these off can shield you from the relentless accumulation of interest, a lesson many learned during the stagflation period. While managing present debt is paramount, we must also underscore the importance of prevention. Avoiding new debt might appear to be a straightforward rule, but during economic hardships like stagflation, many succumb to the temptation of accruing additional liabilities while still juggling the old ones. To put it succinctly, managing debt, particularly during stagflation, goes beyond mere numbers. It's about devising a strategy and making astute financial choices. The combination of high interest rates and inflation increase the cost of debt. However, with the right strategies such as refinancing loans, prioritizing high interest debt, and avoiding new debt, you can navigate through these tumultuous economic times. Next, let's address a crucial topic: saving and investing, particularly during periods of stagflation. Stagflation, a time of stagnant economic growth coupled with high inflation, is an area often neglected, but of utmost importance when it comes to managing your finances. Let's analyze real-world examples to better understand its aspects. The first step towards this is to build an emergency fund. Take, for instance, the economic crisis of the 1970s, a period of severe stagflation. Those who had created an emergency fund had the financial safety net to tackle unexpected expenses such as soaring living costs, and they were able to avoid the default spiral. An emergency fund is a bulwark against future mishaps or unexpected expenses, from an unexpected medical bill to sudden car repairs or even a sudden job loss. By having an emergency fund, you insulate yourself from the financial stress and anxiety that these events can cause. Investing wisely, even during stagflation, is the next crucial step. Consider the case of Warren Buffett, who during the stagflation period invested in companies that had pricing power, the ability to raise prices even when the economy was slow. He committed his money with the expectation of achieving a profit in the future. Wise investing involves understanding your risk tolerance, having clear investment goals, diversifying your portfolio, and continuously monitoring your investments. It's not merely about making more money, it's about making your money work for you, growing it over time to secure your financial future. And finally, keeping cash on hand is imperative. Reflect on the experience of Japan in the late 1990s, a country hit by stagflation. Those who had liquid assets at their disposal could cover immediate expenses and had the flexibility to take advantage of investment opportunities, like investing in undervalued assets as they arose. So remember, build an emergency fund, invest wisely, keep cash on hand, particularly during times of stagflation. Budgeting is critical in times of stagflation. With the roller coaster ride of the economy and unpredictable financial situations, drawing up a robust financial plan becomes a necessity to ensure we stay afloat. The initial move towards successful budgeting is to conscientiously track your expenses. For instance, you can use budgeting apps like Mint or YNAB to keep a tab on your expenses. By doing this, you can discern where your money is being spent and earmark areas for cost cutting. It involves keeping track of every cent used, whether on utilities, groceries, or entertainment. Over time, this practice will furnish a lucid image of your spending patterns, making it simpler to pin down potential saving avenues. Moving forward, reducing discretionary spending is crucial. This might mean cutting back on non-essential items like high-end gadgets or designer clothing, or dining out less often. It's about prioritizing needs over wants and making necessary adjustments. A real-world example could include switching from Starbucks coffee to homemade brews, which can save significant amounts every month. Lastly, negotiate costs. Don't hesitate to discuss payment terms or bargain prices where possible. Let's take the example of your monthly cable bill. There's no harm in calling up your service provider and negotiating for a better package or discount. The same applies to your insurance premium. There's always some space for negotiation. Remember, as Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. Therefore, these are some practical tips to consider for budgeting during times of stagflation. Stagflation is a challenging environment, but with these strategies, you can protect your finances and weather the storm. In the midst of such economic adversity, it's essential to arm yourself with knowledge and the right financial tools. First, staying informed of economic trends and forecasts provides an advantage. For example, during the 1970s stagflation period in the US, those who kept track of indicators like the Consumer Price Index and unemployment rates were more prepared. By understanding the forces at play in the economy, they could make smarter, informed decisions about their money. Subscribe to financial newsletters, listen to podcasts, and follow experts in the field such as Ray Dalio or Nouriel Roubini. Second, managing your budget effectively is crucial. This doesn't just mean cutting costs, but also allocating resources efficiently. Case in point, during Japan's period of stagflation, families that prioritized essential expenses and reduced discretionary ones, like eating out or vacations, were better able to cope. Consider your income, your essential and discretionary expenses, and the space you have for saving and investing. A well-managed budget can bolster your financial resilience. Third, focus not just on surviving the present, but thriving in the future too. In Germany's stagflation period, individuals who diversified their portfolio and invested in assets less sensitive to inflation, such as real estate, fared better. Long-term financial health should be your ultimate goal. This means investing wisely, diversifying your portfolio, and thinking about your retirement funds. By adopting these strategies, you can navigate through and safeguard your financial health. If you found this video helpful, do not hesitate, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends, family, and anyone else who may find this information beneficial. We all need to arm ourselves with knowledge and strategies to face this economic challenge. Thanks for watching.